I'm not standing for some old man judge. My dad says judges work for us. The words sliced through the Providence municipal courtroom, sharp with arrogance, heavy with entitlement. A 17-year-old stood at the defendant's table, arms crossed, chin raised in open defiance. When Officer Mendez called, "All rise," Tyler Brennan didn't move. Then he crossed the line. He walked straight toward Judge Frank Caprio's bench, reached out, and slapped the wood hard enough to make the gavel jump. "Wake up, old man. Let's get this over with." The courtroom locked in place. Breath held. Time stalled. Officer Mendez reacted instantly, stepping forward, but Tyler was already retreating, a smirk on his face, satisfied with his display of contempt. Judge Caprio lifted one hand. A small motion. Calm. Absolute. The bailiff stopped mid-stride. What Tyler Brennan didn't know, what he couldn't possibly have known, was that the 71-year-old disabled veteran he had nearly run down 3 weeks earlier was not just another name on a case file. Henry Caldwell had served 3 tours in Vietnam. He had lost partial mobility in both legs to an IED. And 22 years ago, during a flash flood on the Providence River, Henry Caldwell had pulled a drowning man from the water. That man was Tyler's father, and Judge Caprio knew every detail. Tell us where you're watching from, because what happened next in this Providence courtroom became one of the most viewed moments in the history of this channel. The clock read 10:06 a.m., Monday morning. Case number 2025 JV1-1142 was about to become a moment Tyler Brennan would remember for the rest of his life. Miss Donnelly adjusted a microphone. Her hands were steady, but the tension in the room was unmistakable. Everyone had just witnessed a defendant strike the judge's bench. Case number 2025 JV1-1142. The City of Providence versus Tyler James Brennan, a minor. Charges include assault on a judicial officer, reckless operation of a motor vehicle, harassment of an elderly person, contempt of court, and resisting lawful detention. Tyler rolled his eyes. This is stupid. Can we skip to the part where my dad's lawyers make this go away? Mr. Brennan, Judge Caprio said, his voice calm but heavy with authority, you just struck my bench in front of witnesses, in front of officers. Do you understand the seriousness of that action? I tapped your desk. Relax. You struck the bench of a sitting judge during official proceedings. That constitutes assault on a judicial officer. Call it whatever you want. My dad will handle it. 10:08 a.m. Defendant struck judge's bench upon entering assault charge under review. Contempt confirmed. Mother present. Silent. Father absent. Judge Caprio studied the young man before him. 17 years old. No prior record in the system. But the file told a different story. Complaints from teachers. Reports from neighbors. Incidents quietly resolved through family influence. A pattern that could no longer be ignored. Mr. Brennan, where is your father today? Tyler's smirk faltered, just for a moment. He's busy. He sent his lawyers. I don't see any lawyers. They are coming. In the gallery, Tyler's mother, Laura Brennan, lowered her head. She looked exhausted. Defeated. Mrs. Brennan, Judge Caprio said gently, would you like to approach? She stood slowly and walked to her son's side. Tyler's confidence looked solid on the surface, but Judge Caprio had spent decades reading defendants. Beneath the bravado, he saw something else. Not fear, but desperation. The kind that comes from trying to project power you don't actually have. Mr. Brennan, Judge Caprio said, let me ask you something. When you struck my bench, what did you think would happen? I thought you'd wake up and take me seriously. And now that I'm very much awake, Judge Caprio replied, what do you think happens next? My dad will sue this court. He'll sue you personally. He's done it before. Laura Brennan's face tightened. Has he? Judge Caprio asked. He's taken down bigger people than you? Judges, cops, whoever. Money talks. Text message screenshots were submitted into evidence. Messages Tyler had sent to a friend the morning of the incident. Bro, courts don't touch rich kids like us. My dad says he owns half the judges in the state. Watch me walk out of here by lunch. Judge Caprio read the text aloud. Tyler's smirk faltered. That was a private conversation. It was submitted as evidence by law enforcement. Judge Caprio replied. The question is whether it accurately reflects your understanding of how this proceeding would unfold. It reflects reality. Rich kids don't go to jail. That's just how it works. Is it? Ask anyone. Laura Brennan finally spoke. Tyler, please stop talking. Why? Your father isn't here, she said quietly. He hasn't been here for 6 months. Tyler's expression changed. Officer Daniel Ruiz took the witness stand. He was a responding officer who arrived at the scene 3 weeks earlier, following the incident involving Henry Caldwell. Officer Ruiz, Judge Caprio said, "Can you describe what you observed when you arrived?" "Yes, Your Honor. I responded to a call regarding reckless driving in a downtown parking structure. When I arrived, I found Mr. Caldwell, the victim, sitting on the ground near his wheelchair. He appeared shaken and was struggling to breathe. What happened to his wheelchair? It had been knocked approximately 15 feet from where he was seated. What did Mr. Caldwell tell you? He stated he was crossing the parking lane when a vehicle came around the corner at high speed. The vehicle's mirror struck his wheelchair, spinning it away from him. He fell onto the concrete. Did you locate the defendant? Yes. Mr. Brennan was parked about 50 feet away. He was seated inside his vehicle, apparently waiting. What did he say when you approached him? He told me, and I quote, "The old man was in my way. He should thank me for not running him over completely." 10:18 a.m. Officer testimony ongoing. Gallery silent. Defendant showing no visible remorse. Did the defendant express any concern for Mr. Caldwell's well-being? No, Your Honor. He asked if I could hurry because he had places to be. When I explained I needed to document the incident, he said his father would have my badge by dinner. Any additional statements? Yes. When I informed him he would be cited for reckless operation and harassment, he said, and I quote, "Cite whatever you want. It'll be dismissed by Monday. My dad owns this city." Judge Caprio turned directly to Tyler. Your dad owns this city. Is that truly what you believe? Tyler's jaw tightened. I believe in reality. And reality is that money matters more than courts. Henry Caldwell sat quietly in the gallery, his wheelchair positioned at the end of a rail. He was 71 years old, a small man with hands shaped by decades of labor and eyes that carried a lifetime of experience most people would never understand. Mr. Caldwell, Judge Caprio said gently, would you like to address the court? The elderly veteran wheeled himself forward slowly. Every movement was deliberate. Every motion demanded effort. Your Honor, I've been trying to figure out what to say since that day in the parking garage. I've been searching for the right words. Take your time, Judge Caprio said. I served 3 tours in Vietnam. I was 20 years old when I shipped out, and 23 when I came home, with pieces of metal in my legs they couldn't remove. I've spent 50 years learning how to live with pain that never goes away. Tyler shifted in his seat. The smirk was gone. When that car came at me, Caldwell continued, I thought I was going to die. Not in a rice paddy, not serving my country, but in a parking garage, because some kid couldn't wait 3 seconds for an old man to cross. What happened after the vehicle struck your wheelchair? Judge Caprio asked. I hit the concrete hard. I couldn't get up on my own. And the young man, he just sat there in his car. He didn't get out to help. He didn't call for assistance. He just waited, like I was an inconvenience. Voicemail excerpts were submitted into evidence from witness Margaret Chen. I saw the entire thing from the 2nd floor. The boy's car came flying around the corner. The old gentleman tried to move, but he couldn't. You could see he had trouble with his legs. The car hit his wheelchair and he fell. Then the driver, just a kid, couldn't have been more than 17, rolled down his window and yelled something. I couldn't hear the words, but the old man looked devastated. Not injured. Devastated. Mr. Caldwell, Judge Caprio said quietly, what did Tyler say to you after you fell? Henry Caldwell's voice dropped. He said, move, or I'll bump your chair harder next time, Grandpa. Tyler smiled, a small, reflexive grin, then immediately tried to hide it. Judge Caprio noticed. Tyler's mask was cracking, but he wasn't ready to surrender. Look, this is all very sad, but can we move on? My dad will be here any minute. He'll explain how this really works. Tyler, Laura Brennan said, her voice breaking, Your father isn't coming. He's just late. He's always late. He's not late, she said quietly. He left us 6 months ago. The house is in foreclosure. The cars are being repossessed. There is no money. There are no lawyers. There's nothing. The courtroom went completely still at Judge Caprio's request. A case file note was revealed. David Brennan, defendant's father, filed for bankruptcy in October 2024. All assets seized. Currently under investigation for securities fraud. Has not responded to court summons regarding this case. Address unknown. A secondary note followed. David Brennan was rescued from the Providence River during the 2003 flash flood by Henry J. Caldwell. News reports indicate Mr. Caldwell risked his own life to save Brennan from drowning. Mr. Caldwell received a civilian commendation for the rescue. Judge Caprio read the notes aloud. Tyler's face drained of color. What? Your father was saved by Henry Caldwell 22 years ago. In 2003, during the Providence River flood, your father was drowning. Mr. Caldwell, the same man you nearly ran over, the same man you mocked, the same man you called Grandpa while he lay on the concrete, jumped into floodwaters and pulled your father to safety. Tyler turned and looked at Henry Caldwell. The elderly veteran met his eyes without anger, without resentment, only a quiet, weary dignity. I didn't know who you were, Henry said softly. Not until I saw your last name on the police report. Brennan. Then I remembered. Your father was 26 years old. He was engaged to your mother. He was about to have everything he'd ever dreamed of, and he was drowning. Judge Caprio allowed the silence to settle. Mr. Brennan, Tyler, you need to understand what has just been revealed. The man you nearly killed. The man you mocked. The man you told to move faster. He saved your father's life. Everything you have ever had, your childhood home, your education, your very existence, comes from the fact that Henry Caldwell chose to risk his own life for a stranger. Tyler was crying now. Silent tears he couldn't stop. Your father built his fortune on the foundation of being saved. He apparently never told you that story. Now his fortune is gone. His marriage is over. And his son stands in this courtroom, having nearly killed the man who made his entire family possible. I didn't know, Tyler whispered. Would it have mattered? Judge Caprio asked. Would you have treated Mr. Caldwell differently if you knew he saved your father? Or should every human being be treated with dignity, regardless of who they are or what they mean to you? Tyler couldn't answer. His mother placed a hand on his shoulder, and for the first time, he didn't shake it away. Mr. Caldwell, Judge Caprio asked, did you know, when you saved David Brennan, what kind of family would eventually come from that moment? No, Your Honor, Henry replied. I just saw a man drowning. I did what anyone should do, but not everyone would. I was trained to save people in Vietnam and in civilian life. It's just who I am. I don't save people because they deserve it. I save them because every life matters. Tyler looked at him. Really looked at him. I'm sorry, he said. The words were barely audible. I'm so sorry. I know, son, Henry said gently. I can see it. Judge Caprio turned back to his notes. I've heard enough to make a ruling. Mr. Brennan, I find you responsible on all charges. Assault on a judicial officer, reckless operation, harassment of an elderly person, contempt of court, and resisting lawful detention. Tyler nodded. He no longer had the strength or the arrogance to object. The assault charge is the most serious, Judge Caprio continued. You struck my bench not to make a point about justice, but to intimidate, to dominate, to demonstrate that you believed yourself above this court. That belief ends today. He paused. But I am not here to destroy you, Mr. Brennan. I am here to redirect you, to give you the opportunity to become someone worthy of the sacrifice that made your existence possible. Sentencing timeline. Case 2025 JV 1-1 42 days 1 to 7. Written apology to Mr. Caldwell. Reviewed by the court days 1 to 220. 220 hours of community service at Veteran Assistance Programs days 1 to 90. Behavioral Reform Counseling. Minimum 24 sessions day 180. Follow-up hearing to assess transformation. Here is what I am ordering, Judge Caprio said. First, you will write a letter of apology to Mr. Caldwell. A real letter. Your words. your understanding of what you did and why it was wrong. Yes, Your Honor. Second, you will complete 220 hours of community service at veteran assistance programs. You will work directly with veterans, helping with transportation, medical appointments, and daily tasks. You will learn what sacrifice actually looks like. I understand. Third, you will complete behavioral reform counseling, no fewer than 24 sessions. You will confront not just your actions, but the beliefs behind them, entitlement, contempt for others, and the assumption that money makes you superior. Okay. Finally, you will return to this courtroom in 180 days. At that hearing, I will evaluate your compliance and your transformation. If I find you have reverted to the young man who walked into this courtroom today, the consequences will be severe: juvenile detention, a permanent record, and the full weight of the law. Tyler's mother tightened her grip on his shoulder. I won't revert, Tyler said quietly. I promise. Don't promise me, Judge Caprio replied. Promise Henry Caldwell. Promise your mother. Promise yourself. The months that followed became the hardest of Tyler Brennan's life. That on his first day at the Providence Veterans Assistance Center, he arrived expecting resistance. He found it. Word had spread. Who he was, what he had done. The veterans didn't care about his family name. They cared that he had nearly killed one of their own, and mocked him afterward. Case follow-up log week 3. Defendant has completed 38 of 220 required hours. Initial attitude described as sullen but compliant. Subsequent observations indicate the defendant has begun engaging more genuinely with residents. Assigned to transportation assistance, for the first 3 weeks, Tyler drove veterans to medical appointments. He waited in parking lots while they saw doctors. He helped them in and out of vehicles. He learned their names, their stories, their struggles. By week 6, something began to change. There was a Vietnam veteran named Marcus who had lost his right arm to a grenade. He needed help with nearly everything: getting dressed, eating, opening doors. Tyler was assigned to assist him 3 mornings a week. You're the Brennan kid, Marcus said one morning. Yes, sir. The one who hit Henry's wheelchair. Tyler lowered his eyes. Yes, sir. Why'd you do it? I thought I was better than him. I thought money made me important. Does it? No, I know that now. Marcus studied him for a long moment. Henry and I served together, different units, but we crossed paths. He saved a lot of people in Vietnam. He's saved people ever since. That's just who he is. I know, Tyler said quietly. He saved my father. And you still treated him like garbage. I didn't know, Tyler admitted. But that's not an excuse. I should have treated him with respect regardless. Marcus nodded slowly. You're learning. That counts for something. Week 12 brought the meeting Tyler had been dreading. Henry Caldwell arrived at the Veteran Center for his regular therapy appointment. Tyler spotted him across the lobby and felt his stomach drop. He approached carefully. Mr. Caldwell. The elderly veteran looked up. Recognition passed through his eyes. Tyler, I'm still here. I'll be here a while. I heard, Henry continued. The staff says you've been working hard. I've been trying, Tyler said. It never feels like enough. It never does, Henry replied. That's how you know you're actually changing. Tyler sat across from him. I wrote you a letter. The court reviewed it, but I never got to say it to your face. Then say it. Tyler took a breath. Mr. Caldwell, I treated you like you didn't matter. I nearly killed you with my car, and then I mocked you while you were lying on the ground. I didn't know you saved my father, but that doesn't matter. I should have treated you with dignity regardless of any connection. Go on, Henry said gently. You risked your life for a stranger during a flood. You pulled my dad out of the water when you could have died yourself. Because of that, I exist. My family exists. Everything I've ever had comes from your courage. Henry Caldwell remained silent. I'm sorry, Tyler said. I'm so sorry, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to deserve what you did. The elderly veteran reached out and rested his hand on Tyler's arm. Your father never thanked me, Henry said softly. In 22 years, not once. I didn't save him for thanks, but it always made me a little sad. I'm not my father, Tyler said. Oh, Henry replied. You're not. Not anymore. 180 days after his initial hearing, Tyler Brennan returned to Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom. That he looked different. The arrogance was gone. The defiance had faded into something quieter, something that resembled humility. Mr. Brennan, Judge Caprio said, I see you have completed all terms of your sentence. 220 hours of community service. 24 counseling sessions. The letter has been delivered. Yes, Your Honor. The reports from the Veterans Center indicate you continued volunteering after your required hours were completed. Is that accurate? Yes, sir. I go 4 times a week now. I'm training to become a certified veterans aide. Judge Caprio nodded. That is significant. What changed? Tyler took a breath. I met people who showed me what real strength looks like. Marcus, who lost his arm but never lost his dignity. Henry Caldwell, who saved my father and forgave me even when I didn't deserve it. Veterans who served their country and came home to a world that often forgets them. Henry Caldwell sat in the gallery. He wheeled himself forward. Your Honor, may I speak? Please, Mr. Caldwell. When this began, I was hurt, Henry said. Not physically. My body's used to pain. But in my heart. I thought, is this what my generation fought for? So privileged kids could mock us. He turned to Tyler. But I've watched this young man change. I've seen him scrubbing toilets at the center. Driving veterans to appointments, holding the hands of dying men when their families couldn't be there. He's not the same person who hit my wheelchair. Has he earned your forgiveness? Judge Caprio asked. He's earning it every day. In the gallery, Laura Brennan cried quietly. Judge Caprio leaned forward. Mr. Brennan, I want to leave you with something. You walked into this courtroom 6 months ago and struck my bench. You believed your family's money made you untouchable. You mocked a veteran who saved your father's life. I was wrong about everything, Tyler said. You were, Judge Caprio replied. But being wrong isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning. Your father apparently never learned to be grateful for what Henry Caldwell did. You have the chance to be different, to honor that sacrifice, to become someone worthy of it. I will, Your Honor. I promise. Good, Judge Caprio said. Because Henry Caldwell, and every veteran like him, deserves better than entitlement and contempt. They deserve respect. They deserve gratitude. They deserve to know their sacrifices mattered. Tyler turned to Henry Caldwell one last time. Thank you for saving my father and for forgiving me for everything. The elderly veteran nodded once. Live well, son. That's all the thanks I need. Judge Caprio lifted his gavel. Case closed, Mr. Brennan. But remember this, dignity cannot be bought. Respect cannot be inherited. Those things are earned. One act of decency at a time. I understand, Your Honor, Tyler said, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life earning them. The gavel fell, and in a Providence courtroom, a young man who once believed his family's wealth made him untouchable learned that the only inheritance that truly matters is the character you build for yourself. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.